Hello, my name is Daniel, and this is asynchronous exercise number one, negotiation, part three. So, our final agreement after completing the negotiation exercise was that the Pine Needles would perform three shows at Ontario Place over the Canada Day weekend at $35 per ticket sold. So, Ontario Place would decorate the dressing room temporarily with a forest theme instead of doing long-term renovations. Also, we agreed to give the band a secure private area outside of the dressing room for them to use along with the simple pizza and cookie catering. On the other hand, the Pine Needles also agreed to only meet fans once after all of the shows rather than each day leading up to the shows. So the main task from my behalf, representing Ontario Place, was to ensure the venue stays profitable. Therefore, our goal is to make sure that we receive at least $30 per ticket. Given that the tickets cannot sell for more than $75, we need to keep an eye on how much money we are offering to the band. Additionally, since there can be no permanent changes made to the dressing room, this also influenced what I could offer. So, as it relates to the Pine Needle's top priorities, it appeared that the number one priority was ticket revenue. The second was dressing room ambiance. Third was being able to maintain their privacy. And fourth was limiting their interactions with fans. So ultimately, I believe that Ontario Place came out on the winning end of the negotiation because we did not have to invest into renovating the dressing room, and we limited the band's interactions with fans to only one event after the last concert, while making sure that ticket revenue stayed at a reasonable price point. However, at the same time, the band was able to achieve many of their needs. I believe that overall, this was a fair agreement for both parties. So, something that I feel like I worked well in this negotiation was communication. So, both parties remained respectful towards one another, and we were willing to find like a middle ground when necessary in order to reach an agreement. So, in addition to finding a lot of common ground with respect to where we stood regarding issues, I believe that focusing on the interests of both parties rather than just standing by their positions helped in reaching our agreement. An example of this type of thinking happened when we decided to create like a temporary forest environment using decorations, which provided a similar atmosphere for the band without having to spend large amounts of money. Something that I did not work as well as I would have liked during this negotiation was the amount of time spent on negotiations relating to ticket pricing. So it did take a little longer than expected to arrive at a mutually acceptable price due to the fact that we were fairly far apart initially. At times, it's challenging to balance the financial aspect of the negotiations with creating an atmosphere in which the band felt comfortable continuing to negotiate. So if I had to redo this negotiation, I would likely ask additional questions prior to beginning discussions about money in order to gain a clear understanding of what is most important to the other party from the start. I also believe that if I were to redo the negotiation, I would have been able to utilize smaller concessions throughout the course of the negotiation in order to slowly build trust rather than showing my hand early.